What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, I told you guys the other day that DOGE, or the White House, sent over some DOGE cuts to Congress to get this slashed, to get them rescissions in there. And, it passed, folks. Check this out. House approves Trump's request to cut funding for NPR, PBS, and foreign aid. Oh, Lord, you love where they go with this, right? The House narrowly voted Thursday to cut about $9.4 billion in spending already approved by Congress as President Donald Trump's administration looks to follow through on work done by the Department of Government Efficiency when it was overseen by Elon Musk. What do you mean when it was what was the point in that? When it was overseen by Elon Musk? What, do you think they're not going to do anything because Elon Musk has left? That is ridiculous. But you love how they're trying to set this whole thing up. Oh, it's public funding for NPR and PBS and foreign aid. Once again, the foreign aid thing, that's a misnomer because it's not aid. We already have gone over the news articles several times. There is no food aid, humanitarian assistance that has stopped. That has all continued to flow right out of the building. They keep trying to tell you that, oh, Elon Musk is responsible for killing possibly an estimated 300,000 to 400,000 children or people. Right? Either one, it doesn't matter because they'll throw that number out at you. That's a lie, folks. That is a blatant lie. And you love how they say it's money already approved by Congress. So what? Donald Trump went through the correct process, by the way, to get that funding cut. I almost said cutting funded. That's what I almost said, but I stopped myself. The package targets foreign aid programs and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which provides money for National Public Radio and the Public Broadcasting Service, as well as thousands of public radio and television stations around the country. The vote was 214 to 212. Republicans are characterizing the spending as wasteful and unnecessary, but Democrats say the rescissions are hurting the United States' standing in the world and will lead to needless deaths. Cruelty is the point, Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York said of the proposed spending cuts. You love that, folks. Okay, so even if you may take the corporate press narrative on this and read that line and think, oh my goodness, think about what he's saying right there. Okay, this is obviously partisan because that's the minority leader right there in the House. Cruelty is the point. So you mean to tell me that the point of cutting all this funding isn't fiscal responsibility? It isn't because we're spending $1.8 trillion in a deficit and the cuts have to come from somewhere. It's not that. They just want to be mean to people. Okay. See what I mean, folks? They are just trying to send you down a partisan path of destruction. That's all the corporate press ever does. The Trump administration is employing a tool rarely used in recent years that allows the president to transmit a request to Congress to cancel previously appropriated funds. That triggers a 45-day clock in which the funds are frozen pending congressional action. If Congress fails to act within that period, then the spending stands. This rescissions package sends $9.4 billion back to the U.S. Treasury, said Rep. Lisa McClain, House Republican Conference Chair. That's $9.4 billion of savings that taxpayers won't see wasted in their money. That is right. The benefit for the administration of a formal rescission request is that passage requires only a simple majority in the 100-member Senate instead of the 60 votes usually required to get spending bills through that chamber. So if they stay united, Republicans will be able to pass the measure without any Democratic votes. And yes, this is why we do this, folks. Yes, they know all the tools that they need to use to get these things over the line, and they will implement them. This is why a lot of times when it does require 60 votes in the Senate, you will get a lot of garbage nonsense on these bills. And then you get people like me yelling and screaming at Republicans because they capitulated to Democrats. But that's one of those things that they kind of have to do. Well, they don't really have to, and that's kind of why I get mad about it. But if you want to get what you want, then you need to work with Democrats sometimes, which sucks. It really does, because Democrats currently are insane. Our system was never meant to have one party that's just corrupt a little bit, right? And then another party that's just blatantly insane and doesn't care about anything, wants to spend our way into oblivion, wants to virtue signal in a spiral all the way down to the depths of hell. We've never had a party that encapsulated all of those things at once. And that's not how our system was supposed to be set up, folks. We were supposed to have two parties that kind of disagreed on tax policy, maybe immigration policy, slight disagreements to where we can come together and get something that neither one of them love, but everybody can live with and the population can be happy. The current landscape right now, Republicans want cuts. Democrats want increases. We already are spending $1.8 trillion in a deficit, and Democrats don't want to cut anything. As a matter of fact, they want to increase all of these things because they have their criminal aliens that they need to fund. They also need to fund the third world, for crying out loud. They want to bankrupt and destroy the country. That's the only logical conclusion you can see from Democrat policy, current Democrat policy, is they want to bankrupt and destroy the country because that's what their policies lead to. That's the only thing I can think of. And then they try to tug on your heartstrings. They put this emotional duress upon you. This is what Democrats do. They try to make you feel like you're the odd man out. Oh, he's being cruel. That's the point. That's the point of what they're doing. They're tugging on your heartstrings. That's why you constantly hear them say, we're on the right side of history on this. You're on the wrong side of history. Because anytime that somebody has to point out something so blatantly obvious, like, what's the correct side of history that you're on? Are you bad or are you good? If somebody's pointing that out, you're bad, you're really bad. But yeah, you can make 10 different logical arguments as to why that person talking to you is actually not making any freaking sense. Yeah, there's a major logical disconnect between that person and reality. But let's keep going. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said the Senate would likely not take the bill up until July, and after it has dealt with Trump's big tax and immigration bill. He also said it's possible the Senate could tweak the bill. Maybe they do. Maybe they make more cuts. That would be nice. The administration is likening the first rescission package to a test case and says more could be on the way if Congress goes along. Yes, that's why it was so small. I was kind of aggravated a little bit when I saw it was only $9.4 billion. So I was like, what in the F? Like, hang on, DOGE is claiming like almost $200 billion in cuts. Where is it? So obviously they're playing a test case here, and we'll see how it goes. So there you go. There's always a plan, folks. You might think that Trump is just flying by the seat of his pants. No, there's always a plan, y'all. And we just may not be filled in on what that plan may be. So always keep that in mind, y'all. Republicans, sensitive to concerns that Trump's sweeping tax and immigration bill would increase future federal deficits, no they're not, are anxious to demonstrate spending discipline, though the cuts in the package amount to just a sliver of the spending approved by Congress each year. Yeah, they're not worried about that. They looked at the actual numbers. It's the Democrats that are anxious about the tax and immigration. They're the ones that are claiming it's going to add to the deficit. No, Republicans aren't worried about that. Okay, so all right, I see where they're getting this from. The one Republican or two Republicans that are actually touting the CBO's projections of the big beautiful bill. Come on. The vast majority of Republicans agree with this because the vast majority of Republicans in the House voted for this. You got one holdout in the Senate, Rand Paul. That's it. Don't know why he's trying to side with the CBO on this one, but it is what it is. But that's where they're trying to make you think that Republicans are fearful because of Trump's big beautiful bill. They're not. They're absolutely not. One Republican in the Senate. They are betting the cuts. He is betting the cuts prove popular with constituents who align with Trump's America First ideology, as well as those who view NPR and PBS as having a liberal bias. What do you mean those who view them as having? See, once again, this is micro manipulations right here. And what that is meant to do, that is meant to make you think that, oh, those Republicans believe that NPR and PBS have a liberal bias. They don't actually. That's what that does to you in your head without you even knowing it. It's insane what the micro manipulations. They're in just about every sentence. I ain't gonna lie about that. I don't always notice them, but they're there. In all, the package contains 21 proposed rescissions. Approval would claw back about $900 million from $10 billion that Congress has approved for global health programs. Ooh, that's not a whole hell of a lot if you ask me. I wonder where that $900 million went. Right, like we found a bunch of that money specifically. Like we just talked about this, I think, yesterday. That money was going to NGOs that was sending that money right back to Washington, D.C. I wonder if that's the $900 million out of $10 billion, y'all. It's insane. That includes canceling $500 million for activities related to infectious disease and child and maternal health, and another $400 million to address the global HIV epidemic. We can't cure AIDS all over the world. I'm sorry, we can't afford it. Remember, folks, $1.8 trillion deficit spending. The Trump administration is also looking to cancel $800 million, or a quarter of the amount Congress approved, for a program that provides energy, emergency shelter, water, and sanitation for family reunification for those forced to flee from their own country. And why are we responsible for that? That's what I would have to say about that. And once again, folks, this is Democrats. They tug on your heartstrings. Oh, we need to help these people over here. Where is their government? Why is their country such a crap hole that they need United States assistance for emergency shelter, for crying out loud, because they were forced to flee? Why do their governments not take control of these situations? Once again, we cannot save the world, for crying out loud. These people need to save themselves. It is not incumbent upon us to waste money. Well, like, once again, we know that just throwing money at a problem isn't going to fix the problem. You've got to fix the root causes of why those people had to flee that country. You can't just throw money at these people and think it's going to fix it. That's not only cruel to those people, but it's cruel to the taxpayer that didn't vote for that. About 45% of the savings sought by the White House would come from two programs designed to boost the economies, democratic institutions, and civil societies in developing countries. That's garbage right there. That is garbage. That is more money that gets funneled to NGOs that scrape a bit off the top, and then they send that money right back to Washington, D.C., folks. Why do we have programs designed to boost the economies, democratic institutions, and civil societies in developing countries? Why does their government not do that? Once again, folks, we cannot prop up these developing countries. Democratic leadership, in urging their caucus to vote no, said the package would eliminate access to clean water for more than 3.6 million people and lead to millions more not having access to a school. Where's their government, for crying out loud? Once again, see, this entire thing is just an emotional manipulation to make you think that Republicans are just cruel. That's why they left that comment right there at the beginning of the video, folks. But I'm here to tell you that that's not cruel. That is not our responsibility. Once again, folks, we cannot save the world. We do not have enough money. We are currently spending way more money than what we take in revenue. We don't have extra. We just don't. Those Democrats saying that these rescissions will harm people in other countries are missing the point, McClain said. It's about people in our country being put first. Yeah, how about paying our own bills? Right? Once again, this is what Democrats want. They want to ignore our own responsibilities and just send this money to other places because it's needed more over there. You know what they say? It's an old saying too, is clean your own house before you try to clean up somebody else's house, right? People that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Those types of sayings, right there, right? Like this is Democrat. This is their whole MO. They are worried way more about signaling their virtue, right? It's like some kind of purity spiral that they just go down. Right? Like each one of them, they have to up the next one. Oh, well, we need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do this. We need to do this. And it just continues on until we're sending and spending billions of dollars to dump into a crap hole of a nation that the people, the rich people in that country, take that money, and then the people that needed it, which is the reason why we sent the money in the first place, or sent the supplies or whatever, they don't get the help that's needed, that is sent. So the Trump administration says, no, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to stop this. We're still going to send food aid and water aid and blah, 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 blah. We're still going to send that, but we're not going to fund NGOs. That's what he's saying. We still have programs that help third world nations, right? That it's the U.S. government-led programs that do this. It's not grant money. That's what Trump is stopping, and that's what they're not telling you. He's stopping the grant money going to non-governmental organizations, right? These non-profits or for-profits that do all this work, charities, as they're called, that have massive overhead. Right? They have to pay their employees, and they have to run a company, and they have to have warehouses, and they have to have this, and they have to have a beach home, and they have to have cars, and they have to fly on private jets, and they have to do this, and they have to do that. They have to have dinner with this person. They have to have dinner with that person. They need to pay for a hotel room over here. They got to do this, and they got to do that. That's where the vast majority of the money goes. That's where a lot of it goes, folks. It is not going to what they're telling you that the program is for. That's why they're just telling you. Once again, it's micro manipulations. They're telling you it's the program that does this. But they're not actually telling you that that's where the money is actually going to do those things. All right, read between the lines constantly. The Republican president has also asked lawmakers to rescind nearly $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which represents the full amount it's slated to receive during the next 2 budget years. Good. Great. Thank you, Donald Trump. About 2/3 of the money gets distributed to more than 1,500 locally owned public radio and television stations. Nearly half of those stations serve rural areas of the country. So what? They get money from other places as well. Though the federal government should not be funding TV and radio stations. I'm sorry. That's just not something, that is not a function that the federal government should perform. Republicans disparaged the foreign aid spending and sought to link it to programs they said DOGE has uncovered. Rep. Chip Roy, which is my favorite congressman, by the way, said taxpayer dollars had gone to such things as targeting climate change, promoting pottery classes, and strengthening diversity, equity, and inclusion programs all over the world. Other Republicans cited similar examples they said DOGE had revealed. Yet, my friends on the other side of the aisle would like you to believe seriously that if you don't use your taxpayer dollars to fund this absurd list of projects and thousands of others I didn't even list, that somehow people will die and our global standing in the world will crumble, Roy said. Well, let's just reject this now. And I totally agree with that. I totally agree, because if that money actually went to where they said it was going, that's one thing. That is one thing. If we were actually saving all these people, that's one thing. But are we? No, we're being told. But yet, hang on, we've dumped billions upon billions upon billions of dollars into these programs, into these third world nations for decades at this point. And what progress have we seen? We don't see progress, folks. We don't see it at all. Like, you can't just throw money at a situation and expect to fix it. You've got to fix the root causes. And it is cruel and unusual to continue just throwing money at a problem and expecting something different. Right? This is what we got to bring it back to. We got to look at it logically, for goodness sakes. They say people will die. Yes. Guess what, folks? People die every single day. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. That's all I'm saying. Once again, the people of the country could also do something to make their government work better. They could have a revolution or something, whatever it may be, and reshape their government to something that works better. Us just throwing money at a problem isn't going to fix it, folks. So we need to stop throwing money at these problems and fix our own problems before we go trying to point the finger at other places. See, this is a major problem with Democrats because they're constantly trying to say, oh, the Trump administration, oh, he's fascist, oh, he's cruel, oh, he's doing this and he's doing that, when their popularity has cratered. It's just fallen off a cliff. Their party is in chaos, just utter chaos right now. And they're trying to make you believe that the Trump administration is the bad guy and that the Trump administration is on the wrong side of history. Believe what you want. That's all I'm going to say on that. But I'm going to look at everything logically. Like, we just can't do this. This just doesn't work anymore. Something has to change, right? The definition of insanity, once again, is continually doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So, why would we continue to send money to and fund these programs and not see any change in these third world nations? Why would we continue to do that? That's a question I have for the comment section. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Blows my mind, really does. The lengths that Democrats will go and the corporate press, in conjunction with Democrats, will go to manipulate you into buying into their emotional arguments nonsense. That's all it is. It's just nonsense. It's just emotional heartstring tugging that goes on. And it's just garbage. That's all it is. It's just blatant garbage. But like I said, y'all do me a favor and smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And if you could, I would be greatly appreciative if you could click that join button. Sign up. Become a member. Help me deliver the best possible content I can deliver to you guys, because you guys need to know information like this, right? We all need to know what is going on in the government, what the Trump administration is doing, what Democrats are doing, blah, 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 blah. You get it, right? Yeah, I sure hope so. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.